Hello YouTube, it's Richard, founder of Short-Term Rental University and Airbnb Superhost. I wanted to film this quick video today to bring you up to speed on all the different projects that I'm working on as I build out my short-term rental business and the empire. I told you I would. I think it's going to be really cool to look back on it and see all the different steps that we did and all the different learnings. And I think as you start to invest more or grow faster, some of the things that I'm doing may not seem applicable immediately, but I think you're going to learn from it nonetheless, and I think it's worthwhile sharing. So let's start first with like the biggest project I've got going on, which is in Bali, and therefore it's the most exotic and romantic and exciting and all these wonderful things about it. For those of you that don't know, I entered into a partnership with two partners. We created a video where we talked about our vision and what we want to do and accomplish, and it's really exciting. We're going to develop somewhere between 14 to 20 villas on a slope side with ocean views in a part of Bali that's never been developed before, and we're working with the country and with an expediter to get permits, and it's going to be an agricultural / ecological, eco-friendly, mindfulness, wellness, spiritual retreat. So about 10 weeks or so ago, I thought the deal was going to break, and the reason I thought the deal was going to break had nothing to do with the deal. It had to do with the partners and the partnership, and that's a challenge in and of itself too. But I'm really happy to report that we all came together, we spoke, we talked about our fears and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to accomplish, and we came back together. So the deal is back on. That's the great news. The not so great news is the designer that we hired, the person who's going to help us with the land design and what it is that we wanted to do, the vision, the creative, unfortunately hasn't worked out. He spent about 12 weeks or so on vacation and getting married, and it was the holidays and all of this stuff all along the way, promised with deadlines that just kept getting blown and poor communication, and in the end, trust suffered. So while I'm highly confident that his skills were excellent and he could have gotten the job done, managing this project from thousands of miles away, I need somebody that I can trust, that I can rely on, that's going to be communicative, that's going to be responsive, and we just didn't have that. So ultimately we put forward an ultimatum and said, we need to have a conference call, we need to have some drawings in hand, we need to take this thing to the next level. Please share with us what you have. We've been really patient and understanding of everything that you're doing, but the time has come to deliver, and ultimately what we got was a good delivery, poor communication, no responsiveness, and then we said, we need to improve the communication. This is your opportunity to do so if you want to remain on the project, and total radio silence. So we got drawings, phase one, and that's it. So we pivoted and we started to speak to more people to learn about different opportunities. We networked, we found out what's going on, and I'm really pleased and very excited, and sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. I think we have a partner now that's going to be perfect for us with a lot more experience, a lot more professionalism, available, interested, engaged, and that just suits myself and my partners better. But we really want to give the new person that we're hiring full reign and full control and full creative spirit, and we can build off of this, we can pivot, we can change directions, we can take one element but not the other 12, and so we're really back to square one, day one, with a little more knowledge, a lot more experience. When this project is going to end, I don't really know, but I'm really pleased to report that one of the things that we have succeeded in is we are going to get our permits. We're going to be the first people in this region to get a permit to develop something for tourism, and that's huge. We thought that that process alone might set us back for a year or longer, maybe even forever. We didn't know that we would get zoning and permissions to do this. We hired a great expediter and a great partner. He's not an equity partner in the true sense of the word, but he feels like a partner, and maybe there's that opportunity, right? We're open-minded, so if this guy continues to add value, we may want to make him part of our team permanently. But in the meantime, he's got the right connections, the right relationships, and he's getting things done, including getting the first and only permit in the area to develop something commercially, and so we're thrilled with that. I'm hopeful that this project is done in 18 months. So what have I learned on this particular project that might be applicable to you on any project anywhere in the world? And the answer is to always remain focused and also remain flexible. As soon as we realized that we weren't communicating and trust was broken and so on, we did what's really challenging, which is to put forward an ultimatum and say, this isn't working for us, perhaps it's not working for you, maybe we should get divorced, or let's fix it so that we can continue. And that very few people do. I think many people have the tendency to just like stick with your gut and go with the first guy, and I have $10,000 down and I got the drawings, but I just said that I wanted this project completed in about 18 months. Based on my first experience, that might have been 18 years with this guy, and that's way too long. So I made the difficult decision, spoke to my partners. I have much more experience in development than they do, and at first they were reticent. They were kind of like, well, I don't know. But in the end, when he never communicated, he never re-engaged, we all knew we made the right decision. So the thing that I want to share with you is, even though you want to trust your gut and go with your first person, keep an open mind and be flexible. If at any point something changes, you have more information, it doesn't feel right, don't be scared to walk away. There's always somebody better right behind, and I think that's exactly what's happened in this case. Cool, so from the exotic jungles of Bali, we're gonna go back to America, but where I'm moving and I'm super excited. I am physically moving my personal self, my dog, my life, everything to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Why, you might ask? Why Wyoming? Yellowstone, the best skiing in the world, fly fishing, mountain biking, quality of life, zero taxes at the state level. I live currently in New York City, and New York City is one of the highest tax places in the world, and I would greatly prefer zero taxes and higher quality of life with fresh mountain air and fly fishing. So we're gonna try it. So Jackson Hole is really interesting to me personally on a lifestyle basis and also as a real estate investment. And the reason is because it's a huge area. 97% of the area is owned by the United States national government and forest. Might not have that right, but it's 97% will never be developed. That's what's important, which means 3% is available for development. And most of that has currently been developed. So like what you see is what you get. Econ 101 says prices rise. So I'm attracted to that element of it. More specifically, as it relates to short-term rentals, Jackson has a very progressive and forward-thinking short-term rental policy in place, which is that the vast majority of the 3% where you can develop is illegal to do Airbnb and short-term rentals. And they have what's called a map overlay, where they've designated very specific regions where short-term rentals are allowed. Well, to me, that's where I'm spending all of my time and energy, because I don't believe that that is being priced properly. In other words, I see value buying property that has that zoning right, just like some people in Manhattan saw value in air rights, the ability to develop higher. I think one day in the future, could be a year from now or 10 years from now, people will say, I will pay more money for something that has the short-term rental right, because when I go visit my friends or my sister, I go away for the wedding, or I'm away for the entire month of August, my business can generate income, and that's worth a lot more to me. So I'm spending all of my time and energy focused exclusively, as you might imagine, on the part of the short-term overlay that allows Airbnb and HomeAway and things like that, so that I can monetize my investment. And I'm doing so currently on 3 different properties. So the first 2 properties I've actually closed on, and I've done it through a IRA LLC investment, which is perfectly legal, can be quite complex. I've mentioned it before. For those of you in the short-term rental university, we're gonna have experts talking to you about how to do this. Again, complex, not for beginners, but it can be done legally, and it allowed me to do a deal that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to do, insofar as I had liquidity, and I thought it was a great opportunity to take money out of the top of the stock market and put it into what I think is going to be a great short-term rental investment. And so I bought 2 properties on a fairway in the Snake River Country Club, which is the most gorgeous place. It's God's country, it's beautiful, it's lovely, and they're right on the fairway. They're zoned for short-term rentals. They're 4 bedrooms each, and what's really cool about these properties is they have lock-off, so I can rent it out as a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, or a 4-bedroom. And I like the deal so much once, I did it twice. So I have 2 of those. We've broken ground, the foundation is in, construction's beginning. I think the construction should be done sometime about 14 months from now. And right now, it's a big hole in the ground with some foundation, and the construction crews are going. We beat the deadline of the winter thaw, so that the foundation was dug while the ground wasn't frozen. You can always build during the frozen ground, and they do it in Jackson all the time, but it's about $1,200 per day for the machine to thaw the ground. So big expense, we wanted to avoid that. We beat the deadline, I'm really pleased, and now construction continues on those 2 properties. So the third deal that I'm working on is a little bit more convoluted. Nothing is easy. That's the thing I want to share with you. In real estate, nothing is easy or straightforward. You always have to keep an open mind. So I put a reservation down on a brand new project that was being developed in the short-term overlay. It was going to be on the 4th floor, penthouse, unobstructed views, brand new construction, super sexy, loved it. Sight unseen, I wired them my money, I put a reservation in. I was promised delivery of the unit sometime in November, and as often happens, and here's another lesson, things were delayed. So November turned into December, December turned into January. I went out there and I saw it a couple of times myself, and my broker in Jackson kept sending me photos and updates, and I just was not pleased with the progress. Ultimately, I went back to the developer and threatened to walk away. We put in a clause where they were actually going to lower the price for missing a deadline. Every day that they missed a deadline, they were going to pay me more money in the way of a discount. And ultimately, even with that concession, I just didn't feel comfortable. This was my primary home, my residence, where I'm going to live, where Guapo and I are going to move across the country and reside, and it just wasn't getting done. So I exercised my free option, which was to take my money back. I canceled the reservation because I found a better deal, a much better short-term rental place, perhaps less sexy, maybe. It's not brand new, it's about 10 years old, but it's a silver LEED, L-E-E-D building, which means it was built right. It's energy efficient, it's sound efficient, it's just a great build and a great construction. It's up and running, it's a fantastic location right by the town of Jackson Hole in the square. It couldn't be any better. And the coolest thing for me, and the thing I had to get my head around, was it's a duplex and it has the legal right to have a lock off. So the master floor where I will live is locked off from the 2 bedrooms below. So whereas the first deal that I was contemplating was only 2 bedrooms, this is a 3 bedroom. Whereas the first deal I was contemplating would only be rented when I wasn't there. Let's say I was visiting, my kids, then I might put my place up on Airbnb. So there was a period of time where I'd be in residence and a period of time where I'd be in business renting on Airbnb. This new deal with the 3rd bedroom, I can lock off my master entirely and never rent it. I probably won't do that. I'll probably rent it also. But I can always rent 365 days a year the 2 bedroom downstairs. So it's exactly what I had before, a 2 bedroom for rent, but instead of it being for rent part-time, it's available for rent full-time. And if I have friends or company or guests or my kids or their kids, friends come over, then I can elect not to rent it. But that's maybe 5, 10, 15 days a year. The other 350 days a year, the thing is turning me a profit. So it's a much better deal for me, my lifestyle as an investment. So here's the kicker. In addition to the fact that the 2 bedroom is available for rent almost 365 days a year, when I'm not there, let's say I'm in Bali working on my development that I just talked about in the summer, I now have a 3 bedroom that commands an even greater premium. I don't think there are any short-term rental 3 bedrooms on the market today. So if a family wants to come and visit Jackson Hole in the summer and go to Yellowstone and do all these amazing, wonderful things, and they need 3 bedrooms, this is the guy. Unbelievable. And that means prices go higher. Now, we're going to share this all with you. This is all speculation. I haven't done it before, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to share the results with you guys. I happen to think it's really cool, and I'm super excited about moving out there and moving into this place. And even I, as close as I am to short-term rentals and the opportunity in Airbnb, and I embrace the lifestyle, I was drawn towards the sexier, more glamorous, newer project, first person ever living there. And I had to think and debate about, well, does this make more sense? It's 10 years old, it's bigger, it's more money, it's got 2 floors, and while it made a lot of logical sense, the emotional side of me was still drawn to the new thing. And then sanity prevailed, and I said, you know what? I actually want to live in Jackson Hole for free. I'd like my 2 bedroom Airbnb to pay for my entire 3 bedroom purchase and own this baby outright and live for free in a tax-free state. How does it get any better than that? So what have I learned that I can share with you that might be applicable to you? Well, I think the first thing is just realize that because you've put a deposit down or you've fallen in love with a certain project or property, that doesn't mean that there's not a better opportunity elsewhere. And in my particular case, the deal I had negotiated allowed me to walk away for free. There was no financial consequence. Think about trying to do that in your future deals if possible, so that if a better deal comes along, you can exit and find something else better. The second thing that I think is really important is I went searching for my why. Why do I want to have these short-term rentals? Why do I want to be in Jackson Hole? And ultimately what I realized was having a larger 3 bedroom that allows me to live undisturbed and always have an operating business downstairs was far more sexy and far more glamorous and far more in keeping with my why than just living in the brand new building, which after the first day, it's like a car that you drive off a lot. It starts to depreciate. It's no longer the new thing. There'll be another new thing. So for me, I had to do a little soul searching, figure out my why, recognize what was important to me, and make a calculated, smart business decision. And I couldn't be more psyched about it and more proud of myself for recognizing it and doing the right thing. So friends, I know this was long-winded and not necessarily directly applicable to projects you're working on, unless you're going to be my neighbor in Bali or in Jackson Hole, in which case definitely hit me up with the comments below and let's get together. But I want to document this for myself and my legacy and my kids. I want to go back and look at whether I was more right or more wrong, or what lessons I learned along the way. And I think sharing it with you is going to help people as you grow your business and you start to dream about your next project. Recognize that even with experience that I have, I make mistakes, I learn, I pivot, I make changes, I fire designers, I walk away from projects, and hopefully modeling that will give you the confidence to say, it's okay that I made a mistake, or it's okay that I didn't get there first, because I'm going to stay focused, I'm going to follow my dream, and I'm going to get to my why. Which brings me to the following. Please go ahead and comment below. What are you working on? What projects are you thinking about? What are your dreams and aspirations? What are your whys? Comment below. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Come on now.